following what we felt was God's call. For approximately the first 15 years of LCC, I had the privilege, special privilege and joy of recruiting all the faculty and staff at LCC, tapping on the shoulders of many hundreds of individuals, and inviting them to join the team of teachers, fabulous people that we've had here over the years. And I could tell you stories, I could go on for hours telling you stories about many of the wonderful people I've learned to know. Some of them we all know. Robin Gingrich, for one, I recruited her many years ago. Eric Hinderleiter, Bill Goff, I mean, that's a story that would take an hour. Stephen Buller, I think he still held something against me for that one. And Brian Kay, here as a prospective board member. It's been a joy to work with all of you to find a way to come to LCC. And I think one of my favorite stories that I like to share, and some of you have maybe heard it before, is the story of one couple that I first contacted many years ago. He was a gentleman with a PhD in English. We were looking for an English department chair. And it seemed like he was the perfect fit because he had years of international experience. And when I first called Paul, he had just moved to Canada and had started as a principal of a new school, and it wasn't a good time for them to come. So over the years, I kept in touch with Paul. I contacted him at regular intervals, and finally we determined that perhaps a SLI, Summer Language Institute opportunity, would work best for their life stage that they were in. And so we worked at that for a number of years. I kept calling him. And so one day he said, yes, Rene, we'd be very interested in coming, but you know, we really don't have the finances. And so I said, well, let me work with you and your mission agency to see if we can put together the finances. So finally, one summer, it was the right time, they had the right funds, and they said yes. And for 8 summers after that, they were here regularly teaching SLI. And it so happened that that summer, I also came to LCC to work with Robin on some recruiting issues, and one of the important items on my list of to-dos when I came was to meet this Paul guy that I had known all these years. I mean, after all, we were Facebook friends, we were telephone friends, and I knew lots about his family, and I knew about the twins and the struggles, and you know, you just get to know all of these stories, and I just had to meet Paul. Of course, you can't send pictures on your application form because that's confidential, right? So I had no idea what kind of a person I was looking for. And so I asked somebody, who is Paul on this team? And they pointed me to this tall gentleman with a beard, and he looked very distinguished. And so I went up to him and I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, hi Paul, I'm Rene and I'm so delighted to finally meet you. And he just took a step back and he stood there for a minute or two and he says, Rene, at our house we call you the voice of God.